On February 2, a high-altitude Chinese balloon assumed to be loaded with sensitive surveillance gear traveled over Alaska, Canada, and the northern United States, and the Pentagon watched it travel over Montana, home of one of the U.S. military's land-based, nuclear-tipped Minuteman III missile fields. The Pentagon has confirmed that the balloon is Chinese, and that China has asked for comment about the incident. Pentagon spokesperson Brigadier General Pat Ryder said, "Instances of this activity have been observed over the past several years. We acted immediately to protect against the collection of sensitive information." The U.S. administration wants the world to agree that a Chinese intrusion into U.S. airspace is not a big deal. And a high-altitude balloon can, indeed, be used for surveillance. But it can also carry weapons, for example, a nuclear EMP, electromagnetic pulse, weapon intended to create a crisis over an American nuclear site. The Pentagon made 3 points of its own. First, that the balloon was operating well above the altitude of commercial aviation, but the incident only became public because it was, in fact, spotted by a passenger on a commercial flight. Second, the military opposed shooting down the balloon because there might be debris that could injure civilians, but the population density of Montana undermines the point. Third, the administration had determined that the balloon didn't give China any additional surveillance capability beyond what it already had through spy satellites orbiting the Earth. This leaves the EMP question aside. It also leaves aside the possibility that China wasn't looking for additional surveillance information, but was checking out how well America's continental air defenses actually work. The answer would be, not well, apparently. On the military side, the only air defense system the U.S. has deployed in Alaska is the Ground-Based Interceptor, GBI. The Pentagon says it was tracking the balloon over Alaska, Canada, and Montana, but how far beyond America's land border was it first sighted? Could it have been destroyed over the Pacific before it transited Alaska? America's newest fighter, the F-35, has a service ceiling of only 50,000 feet, so it probably would have no chance against the Chinese balloon, perhaps operating at 75,000 feet. But either the F-22 or the F-15 could potentially have been used to intercept it, depending on its operational altitude. The service ceiling of both planes is approximately 65,000 feet. Firing at an upward angle, an Arab-launched missile might have been able to hit the intruder. An intercept is not a sure thing, but nothing is. On the political side, the fact that the U.S. launched no weapons against the balloon suggests two things. First, maybe the GBI system doesn't work against slow-flying balloons, which would certainly be something China would want to know, or that the administration made a decision to allow an adversarial and increasingly aggressive country to enter our airspace, which would also be something Beijing might find interesting. The Pentagon apparently had not planned on having this discussion. The security establishment would have stayed mum had not a passenger on a civilian airliner exposed what is now understood to be one Chinese incursion among others. The Biden administration needs to explain the political rationale for keeping China's intrusion secret as well as why there was no official American protest.